car splits in two at 5:30 in the morning. Two young men are dead inside the wreckage. The girl behind the wheel survives and says she remembers absolutely nothing. But here's what the police found when they dug deeper: no skid marks, no braking, a black box showing the gas pedal slammed to the floor at over 100 miles per hour and held there. That is the case of Mackenzie Shirilla, a 17-year-old from Ohio whose story just became one of the most talked about true crime documentaries on Netflix right now. The movie is called The Crash, but I've gone through the full trial evidence, the documentary, local news coverage, and there are things the film didn't show you. Things that are critical to understanding exactly what happened on July 31st, 2022, and why a judge decided this was not an accident. This was murder. And now, weeks after the Netflix documentary dropped, Mackenzie's own father is facing serious consequences because of what he said on film. We're going to get into all of it. Stay with me. This one is intense. Dominic's family testified that the couple fought constantly. His own mother said they made threats against one another. And prosecutors played a phone call between Mackenzie and Dominic that was recovered as evidence. In it,
like before, you lied. You lied and said you would never lock me out of the house again. That is why we got back together last time we broke up. But I forgot. You can never
broke up with me
your
earlier.
word because you were.
You broke up with me earlier. You really broke up.
Mackenzie is locked out of the house. She's screaming. She's threatening. She says, and I'm quoting, "This is your last chance to open this door, or you are not coming out of this house all night, because I will not leave." That's not young love. That's a relationship with serious toxicity on both sides. And prosecutors argued that this volatile dynamic is what gave Mackenzie motive. The night of the crash was not random. It was not accidental. July 31st, 2022. Just before 5:30 in the morning. Mackenzie is behind the wheel. Dominic Russo is in the car. So is their friend Devon Flanagan. Surveillance footage shows the car rounding a corner at a completely normal, controlled speed. Then, in an instant, she floors it. The car hits the wall at over 100 miles per hour. The vehicle splits completely in two. Dominic and Devon are killed instantly. Mackenzie is critically injured and is airlifted to hospital with multiple fractures. I'll lower your voice here. Now here's what makes this so disturbing. The car wasn't discovered until almost an hour after the crash. Police arrived to an unimaginable scene. Two occupants, not breathing, no one conscious. And when investigators looked at the black box, no braking, not at any point. The gas pedal was fully pressed down. That is not someone who panicked. That is not someone who lost control. That is someone who made a choice. Mackenzie's story was that she blacked out. She remembers nothing. She claims it was all an accident. Pause. Let the silence do the work. But the evidence said something very different. Here's what the Netflix documentary didn't fully show you. Prosecutors had cell phone location data that placed Mackenzie in that exact area, the specific road where the crash happened, days before it occurred. They argued she had been scoping the location out. Planning. Inside the car, police found a weed pen, a bong, and multiple grams of marijuana. But here's the critical detail. Prosecutors argued that because Mackenzie smoked regularly, the marijuana would not have impaired her to the point of losing control. They said she was not impaired. She was deliberate. After the crash, as Mackenzie recovered in hospital, prosecutors say she played the role of grieving girlfriend to the public, but behind the scenes, she and her mother were allegedly reaching out to a Los Angeles modeling agency seeking work. Prosecutors read the message in court. Mackenzie wrote, "I would love to work with you guys. Such a great opportunity. Thank you." She also asked a classmate to go retrieve photos of her from Dominic's room, so she could put them in his casket. She said she wanted him to be with her forever. Months after the crash, still in a wheelchair, Mackenzie attended a concert. Prosecutors used it at trial as evidence of a shocking lack of remorse, while an investigation into the deaths of two people was still very much active. November 2022. Authorities had built their case. Detective Jisoo showed up at Mackenzie's door. "Hi Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm the detective who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder, ×2. She was 18 by this point. An adult. And the video of her in the back of the police cruiser is haunting. She's solemn, visibly emotional, asking the officers what happens now. Her father arrived at the police station furious. He confronted officers outside, angry that they hadn't called ahead and given the family a chance to bring Mackenzie and themselves. He said, "All you had to do was call. We would have brought her right down. She can barely walk. It's just unbelievable." Her mother was inside, making sure Mackenzie knew not to talk to anyone without the attorney present. From the very first moment of the arrest, this family was a wall of defense around Mackenzie. They never wavered, and that loyalty, as we'll see, would eventually cost her father his career. In 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla went to trial, and she chose to have a judge decide her fate instead of a jury. That judge found her guilty on 12 counts, 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. At sentencing, Mackenzie spoke directly to Dominic and Devon's families. She said, "I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. Dom was my soulmate. I loved Dee and Devon. We were all friends." But before Mackenzie spoke, her mother addressed the court, and it did not go well. She spent most of her speech talking about her own daughter. The judge interrupted her. "I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the 2 dead people." Her mother also said about Devon, "He's a new friend, and I'm so sorry," implying she didn't know him as well. The judge snapped, "Does that mean his life is worthless?" Then the judge spoke directly to Mackenzie, and this is the part that will stay with you. "There's only one person responsible for the pain in this room. That person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else. There is a very good likelihood that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board. And that will be up to you." Mackenzie was sentenced to 15 years to life. The Crash dropped on Netflix, and it is one of the most intense true crime documentaries I've seen this year. For the first time, we see Mackenzie speak from inside prison, and her parents are featured prominently, unashamed, unapologetic, fully convinced their daughter is innocent and that the judge got it wrong. The documentary is gripping, but here's what surprised me. Several key pieces of prosecution evidence that were central to the trial don't appear in the film. The cell phone location data showing Mackenzie near the crash site days before. The modeling agency outreach while she was supposedly grieving. The full context of the concert attendance while an active murder investigation was underway. These aren't minor details. They are the backbone of why a judge ruled this was intentional. And without them, viewers may walk away with a very different impression of this case than what the evidence actually supports. The documentary is worth watching, but watch it knowing there's more to the story than what made the final cut. And now, weeks after the documentary dropped, Mackenzie's father is facing real consequences for what he said on camera. Steve Shirilla is a teacher at Mary Queen of Peace School in Cleveland, a Catholic school where he teaches art and digital media. This week, the school placed him on administrative leave. The school sent a letter to parents that read in part, "We are investigating allegations made on social media that one of our teachers has demonstrated poor judgment." Upon learning of the allegations, the school acted immediately and placed the teacher on administrative leave. Steve confirmed his leave to Cleveland 19 News and said is actually frustrated with how the documentary was edited. He believes parts of his words were taken out of context. But he also made one thing crystal clear. He still believes his daughter is completely innocent. A man fighting for his daughter, at the cost of his career. Whether you believe Mackenzie is guilty or not, you cannot deny that this family has paid a steep price for standing by her side so publicly. So where does Mackenzie Shirilla stand today? Her attorneys did file an appeal, arguing there wasn't sufficient evidence to prove she intended to kill Dominic and Devon. But the appeal was rejected, and not even on the facts of the case. It was rejected because it was filed one day too late, just one day past the deadline. Her team argued that 2024 was a leap year and the calculation was off. The courts rejected that argument. In March of this year, an appeals court officially declined to allow her to appeal her conviction. Mackenzie is currently serving 15 years to life at a women's prison in Ohio. If she's granted parole at the earliest possible point, she would be released around 2038, at approximately 34 years old. But the judge made it clear, it is very possible she never leaves. This case raises questions that don't have easy answers. How much do we really understand about what happens in volatile, toxic relationships? Can a 17-year-old really plan something this calculated? And why would a documentary on Netflix leave out evidence that prosecutors said was central to their case? 2 young men are dead. A girl is in prison saying she remembers nothing. And a family is falling apart in public, still fighting a battle the courts have already decided. If you want to form your own opinion, watch The Crash on Netflix, but come back to videos like this one where we give you the full picture. Because the truth rarely fits neatly into a 90-minute documentary. If this video helped you understand the full story, hit like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Mackenzie? Or do you think the judge got it right? I'll see you in the next one.